there was, I mentioned at the top, it was like an ethering of a fan done by J.J. Watt over on Twitter this week. So you guys know how I feel about training camp stats. Like I've said for over a year on this show that I hate training camp stats. I think they're useless. I think that they're just a way to try to drum up some kind of conversation. So I guess I can understand why some writers feel the need to do it. I get why Elliott Shore-Parks does it. The people who are super diehard football fans that for whatever reason want to know how many passes Jalen Hurts attempted and completed and how many drops Devontae Smith had in a given day, those people are thrilled, I'm sure, to have these numbers. And then like the rest of us who live in a pretty normal mindset say this is all stupid and who cares, it's practice. Like coaches can track those stats for whatever reason, but like why do we need to know them? Why do we need to see it? I honestly have always hated the play-by-play where it's like, Jalen Hurts attempts a 15-yard pass across the middle, but A.J. Brown, it hits his left hand and drops to the ground. Why? Why do I need that? Who's that for? Who is that content for? Are we really that deprived of football at this point that we need to know the play-by-play at training camp? So I've hated that kind of stuff for a long time. But I'm just some guy. I'm just some schmuck who talks into a microphone. J.J. Watt had a very successful NFL career. So J.J. Watt goes to Twitter, and he puts out the following. I'm going to hide the comments here for a second. I'll bring them back in a little bit. But J.J. Watt, let me zoom this in for everybody watching over on YouTube, Facebook, and X. J.J. Watt says, training camp stats are insane and ridiculous. Used to think it was always just people joking, but now seeing them seriously reported. You have no idea what the purpose of that period is, what the goals are, what the context is, etc. It could be a strictly third and long blitz period where every play is skewed to the defense's advantage. Coaches could be asking the quarterback to focus specifically on one route concept. D-line may be focusing only on bull rushes one day or just speed rushes for one period. More importantly, practice is for practicing. You're supposed to fail. You're supposed to try new things, see what works and what doesn't work, etc. If you only do what works, you'll never grow, adapt, change. The entire point of training camp is to build and grow towards the season so you perform your best when the real games start. Fair and balanced take by J.J. Watt. But that fan, this guy Dan, says, agree with most of your take, but you're supposed to fail. That's a terrible mindset. Guess that's why you never won a Super Bowl. J.J. Watt responds, guess that's why you have a cartoon picture of yourself as a major league ball player instead of a real one. Beep, 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 beep. I mean, this guy Dan, at _D_Reed. You got to take the L. J.J. Watt got you. Got you bad. I mean, holy shit. That's pretty brutal. That is a pretty brutal demolition of Dan. Now, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to look here really quick. Did Dan change his profile picture on it since yesterday? I think he did. So that's interesting. Very, very interesting. Anyway, J.J. Watt, I think, is right. And here's the thing that you kind of have to keep in mind when it comes to training camp and practice in general, right? I'm just a guy who's designed some practices for soccer teams. You don't hold me as like the bastion of knowledge here. Don't like try to hold me in some kind of high regard as a tactical genius. But like something as simple as, in soccer, something as simple as like, you can only pass with your weak foot, typically your left foot. You're going to have a harder time. If you set conditions, you can't score unless you complete 3 passes first, play out of the back. You can only score on a header. If you don't know that as the media and you're watching the team play, well, then guess what? It's not going to look great all the time. So what J.J. Watt said was football specific. I mean, imagine if you're watching a basketball practice and they say, no mid-range jumpers. You can only attempt threes or slash. That's it. You can only attempt shots off the glass. Okay. Hockey. The only shots that are going to count are in the crease. That's it. No bombing from inside the blue line. Practice is going to look different. If you don't know what the conditions are, and you aren't perceptive enough to kind of pick up on, oh, that must be what they're doing, and you're just reporting the stats based on what you see, JJ Watt's right. You're missing some very important context. So this again is why I say I think the whole idea of stats at training camp are really dumb, but I get why beat writers put them out. It's engagement. And by the way, like the idea of engagement also needs to be kind of like looked at, because a lot of times people go, oh, you're just looking to get your clicks. Elliot Shorr-Parks is just looking to get his clicks. I don't know how much money Elliot Shorr-Parks makes on X. I can't imagine it's like Boku bucks. Can't imagine that it's life-changing money for him. So I really don't think that's what it is. It's more about just having your name out, because ultimately those are the kind of things that are going to help. Like if it helps your overall livelihood, the clicks on X might not matter, but the engagement and building that following, well, those things can certainly matter, because maybe that does lead to more people listening to your segments on shows, more people listening to your podcast. That ultimately leads to a more engaged listenership, which then helps with getting better sponsorships, which ultimately leads to more money for your podcast or for the network or for the radio station. So like there are reasons that I guess you would engage in that kind of content, but I could not care less about it.